Hey guys, welcome back to another video by Fully Informed Trade, or FI Trade for short. My name is Alex and I'm going to go ahead and review the stock, commodity, bond, and Forex market. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and review these key markets. Alright, so first of all, let's go ahead and review the dollar index. Dollar index does gap lower, and it has been able to find some support at around the $77 and 50 cents level. If you go ahead and draw in a quick trend line, you guys will notice this level is some support, and we could have a chance of bouncing off of it. Now, what would happen is that crude oil would have to go up. Well, now I'm not going to go into all that because I'll go into it step by step throughout the video. But pretty much, if things in Egypt get a little bit worse, which they are showing to get worse. In fact, the president has blocked off the last internet service provider, so that's pretty bad. The Egyptian government has closed banks for another day, so it's going to be closing banks on Tuesday as well. And also certain institutions in Egypt are also closed. So you gotta get, there's just this basic idea that this government is holding on to the last strings. It is just holding on with all its might. Mubarak is like, I don't want to fall down the cliff, and he's holding on to the cliff, this 90-degree angle cliff, and as he falls, he's dragging his fingers down in the dirt as he falls at 80 miles to 100 miles per hour down into the ground, until of course his administration dies along with himself. Now let's go ahead and look at the chart and see the Euro US dollar. And the Euro US dollar is fighting a double topping pattern. I'm going to go ahead and point this out to you guys. Double topping pattern right here. And pretty much, even if we were to go up a bit, we would retest that a bit. If we can't break it, we'll most likely go down lower. But judging by what I'm hearing out of Egypt, nobody is willing to make concessions with Mubarak. Because of that, the chaos continues. The president of Egypt is trying to hold on to power for however long he can as he slides down the 90-degree cliff. Oh well, that's his choice. Now go ahead and looking at the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Dow Jones Industrial Average is finding some support, or is going to find some support, most likely at around 11,600. That would be a target area where markets could fall, and it could break below that. Some analysts are anticipating maybe even a 10% correction, which would throw us back at around the 11,000 area. Now, I personally, I'm anticipating something around 11,600. I wouldn't hold my breath for 11,000, but if it does happen, hip hip hooray, I'm going to make more money. But pretty much that's the area I'm looking at, 11,000. Now, 11,000 is a key area that has been an area of resistance and support in the past. So you guys got to watch this very closely. 11,000 and 11,600, those are your key areas. Let's look at the next chart, which is going to be the gold market. And we have a pennant pattern. A pennant pattern is pretty much this trend line and this trend line, and it's a squeezing type of trend line effect. And it pretty much is a sideways triangle facing the right direction. So pretty much right now, whichever way this market reacts to Egypt is going to push the market in either or direction. Now, if things continue to get worse in Egypt, which they most likely will, the gold market will break above this trend line and push substantially higher, breaking its downwards trend. Now, if we go ahead and look at the next chart, something similar could be said for silver, except I don't notice a specific triangle per se, but I will point out that this trend line has been broken for the most part. So we are in the green zone now. So I guess my worst fears in silver will be over for the short term. We do have a flag pattern right now. Flag patterns are very positive. Once broken above, and there is a key economic stimulant or a key political stimulant behind all of this, the market will push this higher. So pretty much keep all that in mind. Silver should go up in response. Same with gold, for as long as things continue to get worse in Egypt, things continue to destabilize in the Middle East. Now let's go ahead and look at the bond market. Bond market, you have the top and you have the bottom of this channel. And this channel is what I would really look out for. If I see this market ever trade around here, a good entry position would be made on this trend line, which is pretty much sitting somewhere around, give or take, 119.60, somewhere around 119.60. You know, if it gets a little close, 119.65. Those would be great areas of buying. Now, if you go ahead and buy into the 119.65 area or 119.60, you know, you'd probably put a stop at around 119 or something like that, and you would go and you would hold onto it until it would touch the 121.80 barrier. So that's pretty much how I would trade the bond market now. If things continue to get worse in Egypt, which they most likely will, this bond market could easily just break right above that moving average, and then you could institute a long position into this upwards momentum move. Remember, when there's destabilization in various countries around the world, there is the flee to safe assets or flee to safe haven assets. One of them being the bond market, another being gold, another being silver, and another one being dollar. So, dollar, silver, gold, crude oil, and the bond market. And crude oil mainly because it has to do with the Suez Canal. Let's go ahead and look at the next chart, which is the crude oil market. Now we got this neckline and we got this cup and handle pattern. I was talking about the cup and handle pattern just based on this, from what I saw right here. I was thinking, yeah, this could lead into a cup and handle pattern. Lo and behold, we got our cup and handle pattern. Now, if we can go ahead and break above 93, based upon some more negative news out of Egypt, you're going to see stocks pull back, you're going to see crude oil go up, and you know, crude oil could go higher, and $100 could be a reasonable target on crude oil. Let's go ahead and look at the next chart, which is going to be SRA International, or the ticker symbol is SRX. So instead of thinking of SRA International, I'm just going to call it a stock, SRX. Now SRX pretty much is trading into a resistance area now. This area is right around here. Its valuation is very steep and unreasonable, at least from my personal standpoint. I don't find it reasonable at all. This PE ratio is at around 87.25. It is very overbought. The slope is a bit unrealistic. If it were to pull back, it would pull back to around $25, and if it were to break below that, it could go all the way down to $23. I'll go ahead and draw on the lines for you guys just so it makes sense. $23 right here being $23, and this trend line being support breaks below 23 would be the next area or next target after shorting to right around here. But even if you short, I'd cover at 25. It breaks below this trend line and market sentiment is still negative, short again, and wait till the market touches 23 before you cover. As far as the stop is concerned, you would just put a tight stop right above this key trend line right here, maybe around 27.20. That would give you a great risk to reward trade. Let's go ahead and look at the next chart, which is a Market Vectors Egypt Index. Now, I've been around market meltdowns before, and that was primarily my experience with the Dow Jones Industrial Average and the S&P 500. I've seen the Dow Jones Industrial Average fall by around 400 to 500 points, then fall by another 400 to 500 points the next day, fall another 200 points the next day, and then it rallies by around 400 to 600 points, and then it continues going lower by a couple thousand more points. I've seen those type of movements, guys, and I'm seeing the same exact thing happening here in Egypt. The only thing that makes it worse than the United States is because it was purely economical reasons. But now we're looking at reasons that could be totally destabilizing for the economy. There could be a chance that the banks are run so badly, the withdrawals are made in such large quantity that the banks aren't able to pay. Now, if you know how fractional reserve lending works, it pretty much means that the bank takes out, they bring, how you deposit money into a bank. Well, the citizens of Egypt deposit money into their banks. Now, the bank takes 90% of whatever they deposited, and they turn around and lend it to other people. Now, if those people that are, they're lending money to don't repay, and the Egypt bank only has around 10 to maybe 20% in reserve in proportion to however much they lent out, the citizens of Egypt pull out more than 20% of whatever the bank has in total in terms of assets. In short, you would basically destroy the Egyptian banking sector, and of course destroy the Egyptian economy as well. That is the key risks. Another key risk that I do want to point out is the fact that the Egyptian government has blocked access to the last internet service provider, and the stock market in Egypt is also closed from Monday and Tuesday. Likewise, banks are closed on Monday and Tuesday. Today it was closed, tomorrow it will be closed as well. So keep that in mind while trading. Another thing, investors hate uncertainty. And when there's uncertainty and no information coming out of an economic hot, negative, red blood zone, people are gonna sell their shares. They're gonna be like, oh, I made some money off of this quick rally, and I'm just gonna go ahead and sell it, get rid of my positions. I don't know what's going on. I don't care to know what's going on. I'm gonna get rid of it. So nobody's gonna be buying. No, nobody wants to buy in the dark, but everybody wants to sell when there's nothing. When there's nothing when there's nothing that gives confidence. When there's just nothing that's giving confidence to these investors to buy into it at this moment, and there's every reason to sell it. So because of that, I do think that this would be a great short opportunity. Next chart is the liquidity services. Liquidity services is very interesting. We are breaking out of this top trend line, and that's very important. I want you guys to watch that because it's a key trend line. Remember, this is a flag pattern, bottom line, top line. It broke out of the flag. We've got a weekly and a daily trade triangle, and this company does. It's pretty much a marketplace for people who want to liquidate excessive amounts of inventory. Now, this stock could break above this, and has already broken above this. At first, I thought it was a great short opportunity, but since I didn't see it go back into the channel and has broken above it, it has turned into a flag pattern instead, which is very positive. And there is some key resistance at around $15.50 and the $16 area. Watch those very areas closely. If you buy into this, those would be your sell target zones. Next chart, which is the I'm just going to call it ticker symbol DD. Now DD is trading pretty much in a symmetrical triangle pattern, and it has broken above it, so there is limited upside to it, but chances are it's going to go as high as around 53 bucks. So probably put in a decent trailing stop at maybe around 1% or something, and the target would be $3, so that would give you, give or take, around a 5 to 7% return in a relatively short period of time, as long as the stock can go ahead and break out and continue going higher. That does it for today for me, folks. If you guys want to continue following me, please be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And for all of you guys on Twitter, please be sure to tweet about me, retweet this video. And also, on you guys on Facebook, please tell your friends about me. I would appreciate it if you guys recommended me to your other friends so that they can learn about stocks and stuff as well. And for you guys who want to use the same trading software I do, please be sure to check out the link below this video. That is all for today. Please be sure to check out the coming videos in the coming weeks and months ahead.